feel like you've been struggling to focus lately, you're not alone. More and more people have been finding it harder and harder to focus on long-term tasks such as studying, working on a project that they care about, or learning a new skill. We live in a world where distraction is everywhere, and it's almost like it's designed to be that way. Your phone notifies you of the smallest things, even if it's not important. Most videos nowadays are designed to be eye-catching by having a whole bunch of animations, different text, and stuff that's coming up. It's easy to see why we're getting more and more distracted in our modern world. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you 5 evidence-based tips on how to increase your focus. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Tyler Warlow, and I go by the Mengineer. I focus on topics that can help you to move towards a life that you always wanted by improving your confidence, capabilities, and just overall happiness. If that sounds great to you and you'd like to join along on this self-improvement journey, please leave a like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. This first point is a point that I took from a different YouTuber a little bit ago named Ali Abdal, and that's getting into the right mindset. That would be having a growth-centered mindset. If you enter a session where you're trying to learn something new, but you're coming into it with an attitude of like, I have to do this or otherwise I'm not going to be able to, that's very defeatist. Rather, you should try to reframe your thinking to try and make this session something that you look forward to, or something that could even be fun. There's all sorts of ways and techniques that you can go about doing this, but one of the easiest could be studying with friends. It can make it a positive experience where you hold each other accountable, and it helps you both get into the mindset. When people work on entrepreneurship ventures, a lot of times they can go to co-working spaces. This will get yourself in the right mental headspace to prepare yourself to focus for a longer period of time. The second tip that I'm going to give is make sure that you prepare your environment. If you're trying to go into a space and work, but you've got all these different distractions around you, how are you going to be able to focus? What can you do to remove distractions? For me, I'll commonly put on headphones or I listen to some sort of music that has no vocals in it, because otherwise all the people talking around me can be really distracting. I also try to put my phone in a space where I can't access it easily, sometimes even give it to a friend, because otherwise I'm way too tempted to constantly check my notifications or even check a news feed just to give my brain a mental break. You want to remove these sources of distraction from your environment to make it as easy as possible for you to maintain that focus. The next couple things that we're going to talk about are going to be more about how you study. It's important to understand what is the most effective way for you to study. What a lot of people don't realize is the optimal range of time for a person to focus on a singular task is about 90 minutes, and this is called an Ultradian cycle. If you're interested in learning more about that, I would suggest checking out Andrew Huberman. He talks a lot more in depth and gives some really good details on how to attack Ultradian cycles and use them to more effectively help you study. One thing he does point out though is at the beginning of these Ultradian cycles, you will experience about 10 to 20 minutes where you do struggle a little bit to focus, and that is natural. So you got to continue to push past that time a little bit to really get into the deep focus mode. But once you reach the end of that 90-minute cycle, you want to take a pretty solid break, like 10, 15 minutes, maybe even 20 minutes, and just go do something else. Allow your mind to reset. Whether that's going on a walk, whether that's talking with some friends, just give yourself a little brain break. If you're looking for something else because you don't think that you can quite focus for a full 90 minutes, I would suggest looking into the POMODORO technique. This is a technique that a lot of people use to help them maintain focus. And the POMODORO technique is focused around setting a timer for 25 minutes. And at the end of that 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break. And at the 4th time that you do that, you take a longer break, more like 20 minutes. This just helps to give your brain some smaller breaks that it needs in order to reset and continue focus. One thing I'll point out is that the Pomodoro technique can also be used to build momentum. So let's say you're struggling to get into that mode of focus. You can start by setting a timer for the Pomodoro technique and using it a little bit. But let's say that timer goes off and it's time for the 5-minute break and you found yourself in a state of deep focus. It is okay to continue working. So you can use the Pomodoro technique to get the ball rolling and then continue working if you don't feel like taking that small break. My next tip is do not attempt to multitask. You want to focus on a singular item. A lot of people think that they're able to multitask on items, but what they don't realize is the toll that this takes on your brain when you do task switching. And even though it doesn't seem like much, your brain has to kind of switch modes every time that you change to a different task. So try to avoid this. Try to plan out your time and focus on a singular thing for that Ultradian cycle that I talked about. Otherwise, you're just chipping away at the effectiveness of that studying. And finally, you need to take care of yourself overall. That means making sure that you're getting the right amount of sleep, making sure that you're eating correctly, and that you're exercising. All of these things can have an impact on your ability to focus. If you're not sleeping enough, you're gonna be too tired. And when you're tired, you're not alert enough to maintain focus, and it makes it really difficult. If you're not eating, you can become distracted because you're hungry. And finally, by exercising, you're making sure that you're maintaining your alertness levels. And when you maintain your alertness, you're able to continue focusing for longer bouts of time. But that's going to bring us to the end of today's video. If you found this information helpful, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. If you have any ideas or tips of your own, please feel free to leave a comment about them down below. But until next time, this is the Mengineer, signing off.